Mr. John Leon is a 70-year-old male, Caucasian. His disability is blindness, and the onset of his disability was at the age of 49 years old. Hello, John Leon. Thank you for participating. We're going to ask you a set of questions. The first set of questions pertain to the initial symptoms, okay? What were some of the symptoms you first experienced?
My first symptoms was that when I was driving in the car, I felt that my eyes were getting dim. I thought it was because of I was tired and I didn't want to crash. And when you have a crash or something, you have a little fear of your eyes going dim.
What did you think was happening to you?
Mostly thinking of what's happening to me was that I was just too tired. That's what I thought it was. That I was tired.
Were you scared? And how did you respond at the time?
I was trying to hold my fears back and just think positive, that everything was okay and all right. That's what I say to myself.
Okay, all right. The next set of questions pertain to once you started seeking medical assistance, like when you went to seek medical help. How did they arrive at the diagnosis?
Well, I was working. I was doing a F-111s, F-14s, F-16s, F-18s jets, doing their cut pets, doing the electronics. I always had the components correctly done and right. But they brought back the Super Bright 3 units back. They tested it before they went to the aircraft. And they told me that I chose the right component, but I put it on backwards. And they told me I needed to get my eyes checked, that I needed another pair of glasses. And I said, well, I'm not going to get my eyes checked. I'll just go get me a pair of glasses. And I did that, a pair of glasses, instead of getting my eyes checked. And I came back with the same symptoms. My eyes were kind of getting blurry, and I couldn't see, and I thought it was cataracts or something like that. And I was fighting it. And that's how I came down, and finally I just gave in. I said, I'm going to go to the doctor because I don't want to make no more mistakes. There were $300 million unit, and I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to get in trouble with anyone. That's why I went. And went to the doctor, and I told him, doctor, there's something wrong. And he examined me. He had the letters and everything from work. And when he put me on the chair and examined me, the eyeball, there was a vein that was going through the eyeball. It was bleeding. And he says, we have to stop that. And not only that, but in the back of the eye, it's totally bleeding, real bad. And they laser that and shut it off from the vein that goes to the eyeball. And the back, it says, we're going to need some surgeries on that. But right now, you cannot drive. You cannot go back to work. We're going to have to take it easy. I'm going, oh my goodness, you got to be kidding. At the time, I started feeling kind of nervous and a little afraid because I did not want to give up my job. I didn't want nothing to happen to my eyes. It just took me a long time to accept that.
And what were some of the tests? Do you remember the name of them? Do you remember the type of test they did on you?
I just know that they put some lipids in my eyes, and both of my eyes, and they use some kind of equipment to hold them back, the eyelids, and they put some kind of objects inside. I remember really thin, like toothpicks, and through the edges, but I don't know the name of it.
Okay. Was it a quick or was it a slow process? Your initial diagnosis.
It was kind of a medium. It wasn't too fast. It wasn't too slow. It was just right. They took their time.
And what was the most frustrating thing about the process?
The waiting period. I just wanted to get out. I didn't want to feel that they telling me that something is wrong. I didn't want to hear it. I wanted to leave.
And how did you feel you were treated? Did you feel like the doctors really cared about you, or did you feel like just another number?
Well, they came in and the first thing they said, if you want to be okay, fine. If you don't, fine. And they walked out and said, before we leave, we're going to leave it up to you. And they walked out. And then about 5 to 10, 15 minutes later, they came back in. Did you make up your mind? At the time, I felt like, man, treated me. What kind of treatment was that? They at least you could have stayed and talked to me, tried to work me out more, but they did. Felt like if you had a scratch of paper and you threw it aside.
Now, it's important to mention that you're a veteran. Was this a VA hospital, or was this a civilian hospital with civilian doctors?
Well, it's civilian doctors.
Civilian doctors,
Yes.
okay. What did you think at first of your newly found diagnosis? What did you feel when did you feel like there was hope, or did you feel like it was gonna be worse? Did you feel like there was a cure? What did you feel about it at the time? I know you mentioned you did not want to hear bad news, but once you did hear the bad news, once the bad news came, well, how did you feel? How did it hit you?
My mind rolled back to the time I was in the military. And I was in the motors, and I went up high and I fell down and hit my head.
This was during the Vietnam
War. And the doctors there, after I finished, after I was hospitalized for 6 months, I was wounded in the chest. And they told me, take care of yourself. I was going to be discharged. They told me, take care of yourself, be good for yourself. They didn't tell me the symptoms, anything I was going through. They just said, take care of yourself, because if you don't, you're not going to be no good anymore. That stood in my head. And I was just wondering why. So, but then I put that away and I just went to work. I only lasted 2 weeks. I couldn't take a vacation. I just had to work. And when I got out, I went to work and worked. I did electrical work and I did electronics work. And I was very careful with my electrical because I don't want to get zapped, or nobody gets zapped. I had to be very, very careful. And when that happened, my mind went back, and I was listening to the doctor's voice when he was telling me, you've got to take care of yourself, or you're not going to be any good anymore. I started feeling bad. Started feeling sad.
So you initially was able to track your disability, or at least your symptoms, back far enough to where you were able to say that it occurred from an incident in Vietnam, right? Where you bumped your head, right?
Yeah, it took me a while. It took me a while because I had to think where this caused. I had to think. I started searching, mind searching, and searching, and I found the conclusion that I didn't bump my head anywhere but in the military. And that's heard those voices from the doctor saying, take care of yourself.
So at that time of your initial diagnosis, were the doctors able to tell you that, or this is something that you were able to trace back on your own?
The doctor said there was an accident that caused this, an old injury. He said an old injury, and I could not figure it out. What is old injury? I have no old injuries. And it just came out, I think, in due time, it started to grow on me. And I didn't think anything of it. But during that time, when I got out, my eyes were so-and-so, but I had to be very careful.
Okay. When let's go back to the initial diagnosis again. When you received word that you were diagnosed with your condition, how did you feel at first? Were you scared? Were you angry? What kind of emotions were you feeling?
I was scared, and I was angry, and I was starting to get depressed because they told me that I could not drive anymore, I could not work anymore, I could not do this, I could not do that, and I was saying to myself, what in the world am I going to do? What am I going to do at this age?
And at the time, you were 49 years
I
old,
was only 49 years old. I was still young.
and you had been a Vietnam veteran. You were used to being very active.
Right,
You were used to being in control.
right.
You were used to being being your own. You were used to being very active,
Very
physically.
active, very active.
Yes.
And I could not be still. Like I said, they wanted me to take a vacation when I got out, but I couldn't. Only lasted 2 weeks. I had to work. That let you know I was very active.
If you were to pick a month, a number, how long after your head injury in Vietnam and the time that you started feeling the first symptoms of your diagnosis, how long would that be? What period of time would have passed? Was it
Well,
months, years?
Years,
About how many years?
say from 70 to 90. Is it 95, 94?
So about 24, 25 years.
Yeah.
Okay, about 24, 25 years.
But I did have headaches. So
Okay, you had other
I
symptoms
had other
that
symptoms.
persisted before they started getting. So this was a gradual.
It was gradual, and I went to the VA to get medication. And the VA gave me medications for headaches, for pain.
Okay. What did you think at first was the problem, or did you think anything?
I didn't think anything. I just wanted to live. I wanted to enjoy life.
As the time went on, did your perception about your disability change?
It changed me completely. Changed me that, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do? What am I going to say? But then I remember a blind man and a judge, and these two individuals were blind, and I could barely see at the time, and I seen this blind man got his dog and went to the bus in and out. Then one day again he had a cane, came in and went out. This time I followed him. I followed him all the way to the courthouse. He happened to be a lawyer, and I didn't know that. They didn't let me in, but I said I'm gonna go check him out. And he checked him out. He was a lawyer. He defended himself very well with the other people. And then the judge, another department was a judge, and he was blind himself, doing a good job, going to work. And I said, man, alive. Then there is a little hope for me. I said little hope. I didn't say a whole lot of hope. I said a little hope. Maybe there's something for me. I don't know. I still have my doubts. I still started feeling low.
Okay. Let's talk about afterwards. How does your disability affect you in everyday life?
Now, what has affected me, I have gotten a lot of training. Before it, I was down. I was feeling not only sad and blue, I was feeling depressed and angry. I wanted to drink, but yet I did not drink. I wanted to use drugs, I did not want to use drugs. I had to stay away from it because that's not the answer. I would suffer more. But I started to realize, hey, I have to cope with this. I have to do something.
What areas are affected by your disability?
driving, number one. Relationships. Relationships, a lot of relationships.
How about personal care, personal your daily living as far as cooking? Is that affected as well?
The cooking, yes. The cooking affected me a lot.
You have a caregiver, right?
Yes, I have a caregiver. She cooks for me now. But before I didn't, I tried to cook 2 over easy eggs in a pan of oil. And I thought I had put a little bit of drop of oil without even measuring it right. I just poured it in there and I thought I had enough. The pan was hot. Dumped my eggs in there. I heard it boiling. I turned it over. When I turned the last one over, the grease spilled over. The fire started. I was on fire. My neighbor came in, pushed me aside, put the fire extinguisher, turned me off, and then he put some of that fire extinguisher over my eggs. And I said, man, what are you doing over my eggs? Easy over the eggs. Take it easy. So then he said, I'm going to go tell the doctor. I had an appointment with the doctor the next day. And I said, no, please don't tell the doctor. And ever since then, the doctor says, no more cooking for you. You're restricted from the stove. You're restricted from fire. That really got me really down. That was my last hope that I had. And besides driving, working.
And what adjustments have you had to make to your everyday routine?
A lot of adjustments. A lot of adjustments.
You have a service dog as well, correct?
Yes, I have a service dog. I had to train myself with a cane. And that cane, I had to use it by sound. Next thing you know, when I was standing on the corner, 5 times it happened to me. Cars ran over my cane. 5 times. Sometimes I feel like getting the cane and throw it at the cars, but I probably would miss them. But then the doctor, when I went to see the doctor for my 6th cane, doctor says, no more cane for you. You need a guide dog. I says, no, I don't. But finally I got me a guide dog, service dog. I gave in. And here he is my guide dog. And his name is Louis, and he's really saved my life 8 times from getting run over. And I spoiled that dog, and I see how much I adjusted to him because I didn't want a dog. But once he started showing me how he cared for me, I started showing how I care for him. And now I really do care for him, and I really adjust myself to him. I adjust to myself with a lot of things. In cooking, I have nothing but appliances to learn to cook. And the only thing I have difficulty is sweeping and mopping. And besides cooking.
And you mentioned that everything in your house has a place. In other words, you know where everything is at as long as nobody moves it, correct?
Correct. I make sure that everything is in its place. Because once they move it, I'm thinking that not only that it's gone, but I'm thinking that either I misplaced it or somebody really picked it up and moved it somewhere else. And I get frustrated. The frustration comes up. Not anger, but frustration. But if I don't get an answer right away, or it's something, I get very desperate. And I don't know which way to go from there.
Okay. Now you mentioned relationship, that your disability has affected relationships. In what way is that?
The way is that even though they're nice, they're wonderful relationships, but the persons are nice, but once they get to know you and they know your condition, I don't like to think of that way, but they don't think of that way. Advantage. I feel like I was taking advantage. And I had to tell them, please let me do this. Let me do this. Like for example, I'll take out the trash. Let me take out the trash. No, you're not going to take out anything. You're going to go trip outside. Okay. Or let me help you wash the dishes. No, you cannot help wash the dishes. Okay, I'll stay out of the kitchen. Then let me help you set the table. No, you cannot set the table. Says, why? You're going to trip and break the dishes. You're going to cut yourself. Just go and sit down and watch TV, use a remote. I said, man, I don't like that. I'm sorry. I just threw that down and got my cane. I didn't have a dog at the time. I got my cane and just walked out the door. And next thing you know, they call 911, and I was already home inside the gate when the police came.
So this is when you were in a relationship
In
with
the
somebody.
relationships, and when I go with other relationships, dating or whatever, they would,
It would make you feel that way, that
Yeah.
you could not be useful, that you could not contribute. Basically, is it safe to say that they felt like they have to be a motherly figure to you,
like a provider.
like a provider. There you go.
Yeah, like a provider. And I wanted to open the door. I wanted to let the men go in first, but they keep on telling me go in first. I don't want to go in first. You're going, in which they, but a minute arguing who's going to go in first into the door.
So it was difficult for you to continue to show, and it was important for you to show that you could still be a man, that you could still do romantic things for them, but they did not allow you to do those things for them.
Correct.
I see. Okay. Usually when somebody has come to terms with their disability, they feel like they've actually gained something, that they have benefited something from their disability. Do you feel the same way? Do you feel like your disability has, like you benefited from it in any way, shape, or form, or no?
Benefit. And my disability, the years that it's been through, and I've gone through a lot, it's like a roller coaster, in and out. And at the end, coming in, like you're going into the roller coaster at the end, to ready to get off, I benefit something. I went up and around the rides, teachings and learnings. I started to work, or volunteer, put it this way, at a alcohol and drugs, and answering the phones, doing the numbers. The next thing you know, they asked me if I could teach. And I says, what? Teach? Are you sure you want me to teach? He says, yeah. So I got my book, and I run it through the scanner. I learned everything that was in there, and I began to teach. And when I taught, I didn't think the people would be listening, but they were listening. Because I let them know that even though an individual is disabled, you can accomplish something, having the willingness and the desire to do it.
Did you feel they were looking at you as a motivator in any way?
Yes. They were looking at me because those people, other people that were there, they're saying, if he can't do it, and that I have eyesight, and I have a willing and desire to do something, and it's dead, I should get up and wake up and start doing something. Because he can't see. He can't do anything, but he's doing it.
So you gave others hope.
I gave everybody hope, yes.
Okay, that's very important. What is the biggest problem, challenge, barrier, or obstacle to date that you face or will face as time goes on?
Time goes on. Well, as long as I still have breath and life in my body, I'll still keep on teaching and showing others the way. But once I start slowing down, which I pray to God every day, then that will never happen. And I think positive. A lot of negative stuff comes around, but I pray to God to take those negatives away and put positive. And positive comes around.
Okay. Now, who would you say is your primary source of support?
God.
Okay.
God is my promise of support. I pray to Him every day, every night. I mean, I've tried everyone. I have. Some are there, then some leave. Some come and they go. Why? I don't know. I don't ask. The only thing is, it lets me know that I can depend on God.
Why would you not say your family? Why would you not include them as your source of support?
My family, which I have seen in my lifetime and heard, they have their own problems. They don't need a problem like me in there involved. I have gone to my family's house and I've seen how they are and how they do. They treat me with respect, with love, but they don't want me to do anything either. Even though I offer my services, don't, but they don't know how I feel inside. And so I just don't bother.
Okay, that makes sense. Have you at any time felt looked down, looked upon, or treated unfairly by those around you? And if so, where? At work, school, family?
Outside, like going to shopping stores or malls, on the streets. Okay, check this guy out. He's blind. He's got a bad spirit. Stay away from him. Look out, he's a demon. Say what? And I remember the history way back in the old days. That's what we used to call the blind folks. They're full of demons, but it's not true.
They used to think that it was a curse or something that was brought upon by sin.
Correct.
Yes, you're very right, John. Okay, John, what changes do you feel need to happen in society to address current issues in disability? How do you think society needs to change?
How? I'll tell you how. Maybe it's not the right way, maybe it's not the wrong way, but I see that there is a right or wrong. Maybe there is. People today, they need to focus on themselves, to see others that they're disabled, to help them out, not to curse them down, not to put them down, because we're human beings just like them. We once walked like them, and talk like them, and act good. It's applied for them. But once they see a disabled person, they turn around and they start mocking, they start joking. Then when you see the individual, they pretend to say, oh man, you know what, I didn't mean to, this and that, but in reality, down deep inside they did. But they don't realize that they're hurting the individual, a disabled individual. Even though the individual says, all right, I pardon you, I forgive you, and the individual goes back and says, who is he to forgive us? Who is he to pardon us? They question that. So they try all kinds of certain things to manipulate or trick, okay, see if they could do it. I've been tricked so many times, and I've been tripped over the things that they put in front just to joke around and laugh around. And it's like the kids. I was in the store and I was standing waiting for my other people to come in from the groceries. The kids, the parents have children, and they say, is that man is disabled or she's disabled? Don't bother them, just be polite. But no, they just let them go out and let the kids play around with that disabled individual, playing around with them, making fun at them, and then the parents will come and grab them and take off without even apologizing. I think that the society really needs to wake up.
Amen. I agree with you, John, on that. I also feel like storekeepers need to be more lenient on disabled people with service dogs being in their business. Not to mention that it is a state law.
Right.
But I believe you told me before that you had a friend who was refused service because of his service dog.
Yes, he had PTSD and he had the credentials to do it, to walk his dog in there. And they stopped him and they told him that he could not go in, and he showed him everything. They called police and they took him out. They told me what the name of that restaurant was, and I couldn't believe it. So I went. Months later, I went in. Me and I and my dog, I got down. We went in, and they stopped me at the counter while the other people were pointing out pain. And I says, "Well, can I sit down over here?" "No, you stay right here." "I'm sorry." I say, "What?" Said they had an attitude.
You were looked upon as second-class citizens.
Correct.
Yes. Not to mention that you yourself are a veteran and once served this great nation, and to be treated by that same nation the way that they treat you, that is unsatisfactory to say the least.
Correct.
Okay, I thank you for that, John. Last question. What are your thoughts on spirituality, medication, and the medical field itself?
Our spirituality, when we come in, is almost dying because we don't have the belief or the trust and the faith in ourselves that we can motivate ourselves to do it. And by someone that told me she was 92 years old, she was an Air Force pilot, World War World War II, and she told me, have faith, believe, and trust in yourself. You can do it. You know what? I'm gonna try it. And I did it. And my faith started to grow. Spirituality, my spirit started growing. And I began to trust in God. I says, "God, you gotta help me. You gotta give me strength." And He picked me up, and I started to walk. I started walking straight. And as the pills and medication, some do work and some do not work. I have to say that, but it's true. Because some of it worked for me and some of it did not. I had to get rid of them. But what really works is prayer and faith and trust and belief within yourself and in God. That's going to help out. For medication, for medical, yes, it's good to go to the doctors and get examined once in a while. But to get really examined and really doctors and whoever's there be honest enough to let us know exactly how we're doing. Not a fake. And the other things that I have problems with right now with medical is the records. Somebody also has another name just like my name, and they get the records mixed up. Why? Because they're always in a hurry. They're always in a hurry, never to stop, to take their time and say, "You know what, I'm going to do this, I'm going to finish it." Instead of that, you put a bunch of papers, put it aside, take another record, do that, and then by the time you put it on the computer, you don't know who's who, who's what. Take your time. Medical, it's okay, but in reality, the medical, it's God. God is the answer.
That's true to that, John. And the Bible says that God is referred to as Jehovah Rapha, the great healer.